Now you're making me think.
Whoop, I'm
Comes with
back.
some game. Can't
There
remember
we
what it
go.
is.
Isn't it Lego Batman 2 or 3?
Yeah, it's Lego Batman 2.
Yeah. Well, I'm back without missing a beat, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know what
Nice.
happened.
Yeah.
Way to go, man.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Steve, we need to talk about some network switches for my house so that I don't have to worry about this Wi-Fi garbage anymore.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of
It actually
experience with
comes
that.
with the DualShock 3 and the Lego Movie video game.
That's what it is. And it's like I said, I've been thinking about that pretty heavily, but it's a cool thing if you don't already have a Vita. It's a good way to play a lot of really cool Vita titles. But then like some of them like Murasaki Baby, which is like really touchscreen heavy, you can't really play. So there's going to be some stuff like that that you may or may not get to play with it. So
You should be able to use a DualShock 4 controller,
right,
and so that will help with some stuff.
yeah. Which I think with Murasaki Baby, you could probably use the DualShock 4 touch interface, no problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my crazy release week. I don't know why I'm not a huge Far Cry guy, so I'm passing on Far Cry. I'm passing on the HD remake of GTA 5.
Is
Um,
anybody gonna pick up Far Cry? Because I'm on the
Ooh,
fence
when
with
they
that
fix
one
it.
too.
I will when they fix it.
yeah, or like when
When
they
I-
put it on Steam for $2 or $5.
That won't be for a while. I mean, they'll probably sell it in the winter sale for like 30, 35. I don't know. Did you guys play Far Cry 3? Because that game was amazing.
Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is one of my favorite DLC ever.
I
you
played
know-
it at E3.
Did you know that was made by one guy?
No, I believe it.
Yeah, one guy was working at the studio late one night, and he just did that as a project over the weekend, and everybody flipped out, and they're like, "Oh, we got to sell this. This is amazing." So he's like, "Go for it," you know. And the team jumped on it, and they obviously fleshed it out. But yeah, it was one guy that was behind that. Just a
That's-
little,
Isn't Blood
Extra
Dragon
part.
had the Ninja Turtles in it, right? Where you could find the Ninja Turtles in the sewer.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty great.
That was one of the achievements.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
So,
Cool. Well, that wraps up the "What the hell is the crew been up to" segment of the podcast, also known as "We're out of ideas." So we now have the next 19 and a half minutes to talk about our final segment. We're gonna do "Bring Out Your Dead," and we're gonna talk about something that I think we've talked about before, but we're bringing it up again because it's really damn frustrating. So it stems from last week's discussion on unfinished games and the Halo Master Chief Collection, and it moves into why the hell can they not get launches right? In this day and age, why aren't launches working? So
man, that's a tough question.
it is, and I wanna go roundtable. I want everybody to give like their initial thought, and then we'll start the debate. So, Jacob, why in the name of God did World of Warcraft, after 5 or 10 million years of server stuff, have a shitty launch? Why did Xbox Live fail with Halo Master Chief Collection? Why is Ubisoft having problems with their stupid verification system? Why couldn't SimCity do it? Give us the answer.
Shareholders.
Mm,
Everyone's answering to their shareholders. So it's not a matter of, hey, we're going to release this when it's ready. It's a matter of, hey, we need this money, and we've planned for this money, and our shareholders are going to get pissed, so release it.
Well, Jacob just answered the question. We can end the show.
Boom.
You
So
guys.
over.
Lance,
And it's over.
what's your thoughts?
I am tired of people trying to I'm tired of people trying to control something that I feel like is not as controllable. And what I mean by that is, if you look at stuff like the World of Warcraft launch, not so much, but I'm thinking specifically the Diablo launch and the StarCraft launch. They both had problems because they were trying to authenticate something that you should be able to play offline. And I think there's been other launches too. I think you said the Ubisoft one, and they need to stop doing that shit. I think they're too focused on this money that they're probably going to have a hard time getting anyway. It's like those numbers that came out for what was it? Oh shit! It's that horror survival game, Dead Space. People were pissed that it showed that everybody had achievements for Dead Space, and that's what's kind of sparked a lot of these online, passes and all that crap. That's kind of faded away, but it's just them trying to dig in and try to take away from something that they're not going to be able to control, in my opinion. As goes stuff like the Halo launch from last week that Steve and I got into a debate about, because my side of this is, and Steve can state his, and we kind of hashed it out over drinks and Halo and us killing each other and me winning. But it came down to my thoughts on that is stop putting out something that's not finished. And to elaborate, I think of it like going to a concert. You're gonna pay, you're gonna pay a sizable amount of money to go to a concert, right? So you're looking at a decent venue. You're probably gonna pay $60 for a ticket somewhere. And imagine that artist only playing half their songs. That's the same thing to me as a video game that launches that's already been out before on top of it, just like somebody who's touring with a band and only half the shit works. Because to me, the multiplayer is the only thing that appeals to me. So you just ruined my game. Like, I was going to try, I actually called Best Buy to try and take it back because I'm like, look, this product doesn't even work as expected. I didn't really push it too hard, but I was pretty pissed.
Did you ruin some Best Buy Kids Day?
No, I was really nice to him because I know it's not his fault. I know it wasn't those poor people at retail stores. It's not their fault that a game is broken.
Sure.
I just asked the manager, and it's not obviously they're just reselling a product for somebody else. Work as expected, but it's not. It's broken, and I think the thing that pisses me off more about that is that this is a game that already existed. They already had the property. They already had all of the, original content for the game, and all they had to do was build something over the top of it. That's why that game pisses me off. That's why I got all up in arms. And last week we had me trying to connect to a match, I'm a little bit more. What's the word? Something like World of Warcraft, when you have as many users as you do online, it's kind of almost expected at this point that they have crashes and they have problems and things come down. Same with Destiny.
No,
what's up?
I disagree, but continue your point. You have 5 seconds to finish it before I cut you off.
It's fine. So I expect things where you have a large community online, and I expect downtime. That's going to happen. I would like to have an expectation set prior, but don't sell me a $60 game and just basically say, here you go. That's kind of like, something I had high expectations for, which was Aliens Colonial Marines, which I haven't talked about for about 5 episodes. So, they basically, I bought I actually was one of the people that bought the pack because I wanted the extra content. There was one map pack out of that was worth it. It was, and it just seems like they hand you the extra map packs, and then they're like, see you later. No support, no nothing for a game, and it's bullshit. Just turning a penny into a dollar, and that seems to be the American way, and that's why this is what it is. We're just fucking taking everybody's money and not giving a shit about the core content. A lot of companies are. So
okay,
anyway.
Steve, give a breakdown of your thoughts on it so far.
So I think the reason we get these unfinished games is because as gamers we're not appreciated anymore. It's no longer about delivering the best experience for the gamers. It's kind of like Jacob said. We just need to deliver to make the money, right? It doesn't matter the quality of it. People are going to buy it, and that's just the way it's going to be. Get it out at a deadline now so you can start the next cycle to rinse and repeat. Is exactly what it's become. They don't appreciate, their customers and the stuff that they do for them. We buy their games, we make them money. Sure, some of us are going to bitch, but it doesn't bother them anymore. I think they're all about just trying to make the dollar now, and they set unrealistic guidelines for their developers and their infrastructures. They say, the reason I think the Halo failed, someone somewhere said, you think you need this many servers? Okay, cool. You can have 60% of that, right? It wasn't because Bungie didn't, appropriate it, or didn't plan appropriately. It was because someone somewhere cut their budgets or said, you don't have the time or money to get that up and running. And that's really kind of how I feel it's coming down to us gamers, right? Someone said, develop it in this time frame with this much budget. Okay, cool. And they get it done, but we're of course unsatisfied in the end.
Vance, what do you think?
It's there's a huge problem in the industry right now, and it has to do with game creation versus scale. Yeah, we've gotten faster at making games and creating content for games. The problem is the scale has gone from the scale hasn't just doubled, it's quadrupled, and in my opinion, it's far surpassed what's feasible for the current content, for the current content speed, and for the current content pipeline that's going on right now. That being said, it's a multi-pronged problem. It's like, I think everybody's hit a very valid point. One is, let's get it out, let's make money. The other one is, it's unfeasible. I mean, Far Cry 4 is, in all reality, it's a logistical nightmare for a studio, and they're just not giving it enough time. So you kind of get to this point in game development right now where it's kind of an awkward time where we just don't have the tools to really keep up with the scale of games that kids want, games that people want. That being said, looking at the server side of things, I can tell you right now that they have analysts come in and they say, look, we're going to have huge surge of players on opening day, but about 3 or 4 weeks later, that surge is going to slow down and it's going to go back down to capacity that we're used to. So why are we going to spend millions on additional servers to accommodate this huge surge? There's absolutely no reason for it. Looking at it from a bottom line point of view, and I kind of see where Blizzard's coming from, and these other companies where they're going, look, dude, the reality is we could afford the servers and we could have the service to accommodate the opening day, but then 3 weeks down the road, a month down the road, we're going to have all these servers that aren't being used that we spent all this money on. You know what I mean? And that's really the World of Warcraft problem. That's always been their problem, is they know exactly what the population is going to settle into, and they know that there's going to be a bunch of fair weather players that come in and play it for 3 weeks and are completely done with the game. And I don't yeah, and I don't think that the average gamer really understands how expensive a server unit is and how expensive it is to run and keep it up. That being said, I'm not condoning what they did, and I'm not agreeing with what they did. I think they should provide the service, and I think it should be the gamer, whoever's buying the game should get what they expect to get out of the product, as long as it's realistic. Now, obviously, you got kids out there that think Assassin's Creed is gonna print its own money and cure cancer and shit, and the reality is the game's just not gonna do it. Sorry, So it's a multifaceted problem with this horrible release week, but it seems to be getting worse, which is the really scary thought. You know what I mean? It seems that major AAA title after major AAA title are failing. Battlefield 4, had serious issues. Call of Duty had serious issues. World of Warcraft, every time they release an expansion, you know what you're in for. I'm a veteran. I played for Deus Ex. We were the number 3 guild in the world for Burning Crusade, and being from that side of the coin as well, I know what I'm getting into, but I don't condone it. I'm like, dude, come on, Blizzard, step up your game. You guys got a campus where you have 4 skyscrapers in it. So try to help us out here, meet us halfway. But I didn't expect Far Cry to have as many problems as it did, and I don't know if that's strictly Ubisoft's problem, or maybe NVIDIA and AMD dropped the ball. They just weren't ready with the graphics card drivers. But then again, it was on the console as well. So, it just seems to me like the industry is being ran by bankers and money men rather than visionaries and game designers.
Right. And I think, if you don't mind, I'll segue into my point with that, is that anytime something gets 100% about money is when it starts to become a problem.
Sure.
And what I mean by that is we have visionaries in the industry like, Gabe Newell, who said piracy is not a theft problem, it's a customer service problem. And I feel that way. When a company makes decisions solely based on money, and anyone that's worked in any major field for any major company can see that, any company that's willing to maybe spend a little bit of extra cash, and I'm not saying a ton of extra, a little bit of extra cash, to make a good impression, it changes the way things work. Apple is proof of that, right? I feel like Apple has a certain set of standards. I don't exactly like all their products, but at the same time, their reputation is insane because they've spent the cash to have it. And the thing that blows my mind is, most of these companies that are using, cloud computing server space, they're using like collab rooms, or they're buying the server space from like Amazon. You know what I mean? Like they're renting
Sure.
off of Amazon Cloud or numerous other cloud providers. And I guess to me, what boggles my mind, and I don't work in the contracting side, but like every time this happens, I can't even go, okay, look, they know there's going to be fair weather fans. They know there's going to be a spike for 2 weeks. They know this is going to happen. Can't they just rent additional space for 1 month?
It's really
They absolutely can.
I mean, can't they
well,
just say,
no.
look, we're going to have a server spike. We need extra capacity from you for 1 month?
Yeah, the problem is okay. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
The
cut me
problem is
off.
for specific games. Let's take World of Warcraft for instance, because they've been doing it for a decade now.
Sure.
So the World of Warcraft servers are very specific. They're actually, there's something that you would have to, if you were going to run a server for it, you'd have to completely reconfigure the server. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of server farms are like, we'll do it, but we're going to charge you a shit ton of money to do it.
In
So
which
when it
case, you
comes
have
down,
to have it for a long period of time to make it worth the investment.
yeah, you probably have to sign a contract and stuff like that. Like, I'm not an expert on that stuff, but from what I understand, I actually have a few contacts over at Blizzard, and that's pretty much what they bitch about constantly.
So I guess that's the only thing is, like I said, when it comes run totally by money, it becomes a problem. But at the same time, that's the world we live in. But that's what kills me is, it's this epic struggle. And one thing I love about the Wii, the Nintendo Wii, there's very few things I liked about it. But the one thing I like it is I feel like it took gaming and it drug it into the limelight. It made it. I feel like the Wii did for gaming what other things have done for other forms of media to make them huge. Like the CD did for rock and roll in the 80s, right? Like it pulled it into the mainstream where everybody could have it, and it made it, I guess the record did that in the 50s, but it doesn't matter. But everybody got pulled in and gaming was huge. It became and the industry just kept steamrolling. But then the problem is then all these businessmen shifted in and it just some stuff got messed up and it breaks my heart. Like I said, it kills me to see a game not completed on time or a game not to be completed well, and it like Halo Master Chief Collection. I consider buying an Xbox One for that, and everything I've heard so far has been just not worth it. I mean, even looking at people within the Big Shiny Robot group that are generally apologists for everything Microsoft and everything Halo, and they're in there going, oh, frame lag, oh, drop frames, oh, this happened, oh, this happened. I'm like, Jesus Christ, there is no rest. Or, I have friends that took the weekend off work, took a week off work to play the World of Warcraft expansion, and I'm scrolling through the World of Warcraft blog on Battle.net going, holy shit, they were rolling patches every 2 hours for like 2 days. Like,
Yeah.
holy
Yeah.
God, how does that happen? Like, you guys have expanded your game. This is the 4th expansion. You should know what you're doing by now. Server problems aside, if there's server problems, there's fucking server problems. But server problems aside, it's not like they just came out and said, there's just a server overload, good fucking luck. It was literally, yeah, we're gonna have to patch shit for 48 solid hours. Like, what the hell?
And this is
So,
one thing that I keep making an analogy to is the video game industry right now reminds me of the music industry in the 90s.
yeah,
So much so it's like buy a record, has 2 good songs on it, and the rest of it's dog shit.
Sure.
And that's kind of where a lot of these companies are going because there's
Yeah.
a lot of money in it.
but
There's a
then,
lot of people buying up video games on
Right.
right now.
yep, but then there is
So-
hope because there are games like Little Big Planet. There are games like, which is on its 3rd sequel. Anyway, and then there are games, like Rogue Legacy by Cellar Door Games, which is one of my favorite games this year. The Binding of Isaac is on its 2nd or 3rd release at this point. They just did Rebirth for the PS4, which is super great. There's
Yeah.
SteamWorld Dig. What else? I mean, there's a
I
lot
think
of.
we should do.
We
I
need
think
to
next
do
month
like,
we should do an episode that's just based on good bang for your buck games.
Yep, I think
Not
so.
like there's a difference between like game of the year and good game for the money and most inventive games.
Yeah.
I think we should take a look
We'll
at
do
that.
it, and we'll get
so.
some footage together. So the last 2 minutes of the show, I want to do something a little different. So I have here some stats from last week's Lance versus Steve Halo match. Now, take into account these were posted by Steve, so I don't know. I don't know what this means. So I'm gonna read them, and then you guys are gonna translate them. So on the Ascension map, W Lance, which I think means Lance won, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now Lance won 3. So Lance won 3. Steve lost 6. Right?
So that means Lance had 3 deaths, and I had 6 deaths.
Ah. And there's a drink
then
rate.
the
What is the
average-
I
drink?
don't know how he came up with these stats because I think we played to 15 and it was about he had about half my score first game. Where are these?
The first one you actually had a time limit instead of a death count.
Ah.
Oh,
So
okay.
then the prisoner Steve won.
Keep putting a Halo 1 map.
Ah, Halo 1 map. So then there was Warlord. Lance won.
No,
Heretic.
Not only did Steve win on that map, Steve dominated Lance on that
Yeah,
map.
it looks like Steve did
Yeah.
dominate that. 6-15 was the ratio there. However, when we go back to the Halo 2 maps, Warlord, Lance won 6-13. Heretic, Lance won 6-15. Lockdown, I don't understand how that. These averages make no sense. Did you get drunk and
the
write
first
averages?
one you're reading is how many drinks they had.
Which is how many times they died. That's
I
how many
get
times we
it.
died.
You guys were
So-
drunk at the end of this. Holy crap.
Oh,
Yes.
we were drunk. We were pretty
So for instance,
drunk.
I was destroyed on Lockout, which was the very last map. I was just utterly destroyed.
All right, so and believe it or not, their drinking average at death was actually pretty consistent, about 3% spread. So now that I understand how these numbers work, here's the results, and then we'll end the night. So it looks like Lance won on Ascension. That was a time limit, that's why. Prisoner, Lance died 15 times. Steve died 7. Warlord, it was
That's
13.
where I got drunk, and I
Yeah.
still won.
Warlord, it was 13-15. Heretic, it was 15-10. Steve won that one. Lockdown, Lance won, 15-6. And that
Yeah,
was it.
that-
And then the
that
drunkenness.
was-
Then the
that
drunkenness
was drunk.
happened. So,
So what I found out was that on average we drank about half the time we were supposed to. So
so if
Towards
they,
the end, I was like, no shit, I had to drink.
so if they would
we
have
were supposed
drank,
to take 1 drink for every death.
oh my god.
We would have each had 57 drinks. We each got 57 kills. So yeah,
So,
it's a good thing we didn't, because we just would have passed out live on the internet.
which I think would have been great.
Better. Yeah.
So we'll do more of that. That was a fun night. It was fun for me to watch the parts I got to see. But there you have it. All right, guys, we're wrapping up. Any final words from the panels? Jacob,
Play Dragon Age. Play it.
Lance,
Keep playing Destiny? I don't know. I have nothing better to say.
that was really Steve. Say something.
Stop pre-ordering games.
Yeah, right. Vance,
Play League of Legends, please. It's amazing.
stupid game.
Well,
Oh, my
huh?
PC's set up for that. Let's do that soon. My
yeah.
PC is set up
We
for
should
that.
do
Play
it.
right after this, bro.
Let's do a Vance. We should do a Vance teaches Steve stream.
Okay.
Yeah,
And-
and then every time that Steve dies, he has to drink.
No.
Shit.
All right.
Not at all.
Yes.
I might be
you.
able to
Yeah.
keep it alive.
Thank you
Vance,
guys.
do you want to do that this week?
What?
Do you want to do that this week? Me and you will. You'll teach me League of Legends.
Yeah, when?
I don't know. We'll share my desktop. We'll get you on a Skype call to hear your voice, your
Okay.
sweet, soothing voice. Okay, guys, expect that this week or the beginning of next week.
Okay, sweet. Thank you so much for tuning in. I promise that we'll well, we all know this will be our lowest watched episode in the last 6 months because Mandy is
Oh,
gone. So
it's pretty boring.
yeah, due to the sausage fest, our hits are instantly cut in half. Thank you.
And
so
Randy's
much.
not here, so my grandma's not watching. So.
God, man, weird.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. This is how we're gonna get views right now. Oh my gosh, Assassin's Creed's the greatest game that's ever been made. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. That right there will get you 10,000 views.
Boom,
Yeah, we
10,000
should
hits.
make that the title. Make that the title. Oh my gosh, Assassin's Creed, Assassin's Creed. Type it out like
It's
3
not
times.
That's a good game.
And you'll
Oh
have
my
to watch
God.
the whole episode to get the joke. It's done. Have a great night,
Why-
everybody. I'm tuning us
Why are you
out.
talking about Assassin's
It's fading
Creed?
to black right now.